All right, good morning, everybody. My name's John. I'm an alcoholic.
John.
Yeah, certainly grateful to be here. I'm sober this morning and to be asked to speak on the first part of Step 12. And just, on my ride over here, I was just feeling really grateful that I actually woke up without a hangover this morning, and it was a nice day. And, and then I got that I have freedom today that I didn't have at one time in my life. And I actually mentally prepared myself for another step, so I thought I was speaking on Step 1. And for some reason, I'm going to have to scroll back through the messages from Joe. But I don't know. It says practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. And I find that to have definitely been my own personal experience in working with other people. And it really, I was thinking of this one guy that I was working with, and it seems as though God puts a lot of people into my life when I need them the most. Usually when I'm single or I'm going through some difficult moment, and I get somebody put in my life, and it helps bring me out of myself and helps me to be of service. And that's really where I found, like when I first got, I don't even like to say that, when I got sober, I remember like having a hard day. I was in an elevator going to a meeting, and there was this girl in there, and she was really struggling, and I was just able to give a couple words of encouragement, and it wasn't really like I was doing it 12, well, it kind of was, and I got the most incredible experience. I felt like that rush you get, you get goosebumps, and I actually had that on the way over here, and that was an experience that, like, I had never had prior to coming into AA and trying to be of help and service to other people. I was concerned with myself, but so I mean, I guess I share that because working with others really is the foundation of my recovery. It's an altruistic movement. Concern for other people is what keeps us all together. But I guess I was thinking about this guy. I was trying to touch base on it with somebody that I was working with, and you really never know, what's going to happen. And I was working with this guy for a while, and I was, I had a good feeling about him, I found out, like, after he did a lot of his writing and everything, he was doing Percocets, and I was like, wow, why didn't I see that? And I was just too into helping the guy, and I was thinking about it after. So it was like, I'm glad I didn't know, because I might have like got a resentment and said I didn't want to work with him anymore. And I never knew. I was totally clueless about it until he told me. And then, and how do you deal with a situation like that? And, he's asking me, well, what do you think I should do? Should I write again? And I says, well, what do you think you should do? He goes, yeah, I think I should write again. So he ripped up his writing, and he started writing all over again. And he's been clean and sober ever since. And it's just like seeing that, like, thank God I was out of the picture. I was clueless and blind and didn't know how to see that. And it just really is like the bright spot of my life. It's seeing the transformation that happened with him. He did his writing over again and went on and did a fifth step, and he had a spiritual experience. He's a different guy, and to see that is in somebody else is awesome, because when I think about it, I really never had a purpose in life prior to coming to Alcoholics Anonymous. I was a shell of me, and I was definitely bankrupt. Didn't know what my purpose in life was, and I was clueless. And I've shared this before. Is like to be put in a position to be able to help another person and to pretty much save their lives and watch them change, transform, is wonderful. And, it's why I keep coming. And, so, there's a lot of different information in here on like how to deal with alcoholics and how to 12-step them and try to get information that you can from them, and whether they're religious and have a religious teaching and learning. And, I wasn't, so, I don't really, go that far. And I don't, really have that much experience in dealing with somebody that, is like that. But it tells me how to deal with that. It's like, obviously, they're doing something wrong, basically, is what the chapter's saying. So that was, that's valuable information. And I don't want to be on a crusade either. And, I always was somebody that believed that this is a program of attraction rather than promotion. I don't have to go down and tell, this is the only way, you're doing it wrong. And, big book, this is it, that's it. And, I think, personally, my experience is that, if I do that, somebody else does that, then they have a harder time reaching somebody. What alcoholic wants to be told or criticized on what to do? Right? I mean, I was criticized, throughout 19 years of my drinking, so I don't want to walk into AA and be criticized again. So I found that, to be a really valuable piece of information on dealing with alcoholics. And not to get resentful at the people that come in and come into Big Book and walk away. I found that I did the same thing. I came into Big Book out of resentment, walked away, and found myself back here 2 years later. It's kind of like different. They talk about that with the alcoholic, like, let it go at that. Somebody's drinking, let it go at that. They're not ready. They don't want it. You know what? That's fine. It's nice meeting you. If you ever want to come back, welcome back. So that, I could see that is a valuable approach to do with people that come into Big Book from any outside meetings or anything like that. It's for me to not get angry and resentful. Yeah. I don't know. I definitely touched on, as a result of doing the steps, all the steps prior to this, I've certainly had a spiritual awakening. I have felt the presence of God flow through me, those goosebumps and stuff like that. The obsession and the craving to want to drink and drug has been lifted and removed from me. And I have absolutely, the only explanation I have for that is a result of developing a spirituality through work in the previous steps. Because everything else I tried before that didn't work. And then once I was willing to, try the spirituality of the program, then I certainly got results. There's the main thing that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself, and that he live by spiritual principles. And that's what I got. That's a good piece of information too. I highlighted so much in this chapter. Show him from your own experience how the queer mental condition surrounding the first drink prevents normal functioning of the willpower. And I certainly could identify with that because, as far as my drinking and drug use go, I had absolutely no willpower. I said to myself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to quit, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to do drugs. And then some trivial mental thought process would come in and push that all away. And then I'd be like, why did I do that? So that certainly is, there's so much in this that I can identify with. Continue to speak of alcoholism as an illness, a fatal malady, talk about the condition of the body and mind, which accompany it. It's obvious, for me, for me, it's a mental illness. For some reason, it's bodily. I'm different too. As far as putting that first drink of drug in me, I react differently. It's definitely fatal. I felt like when I had reached my bottom and my end, that, I had that morass of self-pity, that feeling of, I was going to be the next one to die, because I've seen a lot of my friends die around me, and, so I had that sense of impending doom, and, I believe that that's pretty much what this illness is going to do to me. It's going to kill me, if I continue to, drink and do drugs and everything. But I don't know. I've touched, there's so much more I could touch on as far as like the highlighting goes, and I can jump all over the place. But if you're here tonight, today, this morning, this process, or I like to call it the steps alcoholism. If you're willing and open-minded enough and want to go for it, I believe that you too can have a spiritual experience and not ever have to go back to drinking. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Nice.